You cannot define a culture. Culture exists everywhere. As soon as two people are sharing a coffee machine or whatever they're sharing, they create a culture around it. But you can influence the culture of the people working with you through your actions, values, reward systems, and people you hire. And values are very important. You cannot define a value. You cannot say in this company, our value is to have high customer satisfaction. You can say it, but it's not a value until it, through your actions, is shown that we value customer satisfaction. And that goes for all values. A value is only a value if you sacrifice something to have that value. If customer satisfaction is really a value to you and your team, you have to show that you are willing to sacrifice, for instance, profit or something else in order to achieve a high level of customer satisfaction. If you as a leader of your company, even if it's a very tiny company, if you as a leader of that company shows that I have values and I stand for these values, people will admire you, people will follow you, and then you are already on the right track of creating a corporate culture that can make you become very successful. A cultural due diligence will determine your cultural DNA. A cultural due diligence is a process where we dig down into how you do things in an organization and divide it into smaller components that we can measure and look at and say, that's how you solve problems. Oh, that's how you communicate. That's how you treat your employees. A lot of small components, when put together, it becomes a cultural DNA. And that all organization has a cultural DNA. And it's very important that that cultural DNA fits your strategic objectives. Because if you have a strategy about being the most service-oriented company in your industry, and the culture inside your company is very different, for instance, only focused on having the lowest cost, then you will never succeed. And people working with you will get very frustrated because you are saying one thing to the clients and the reality inside the company is very, very different. And it's not only big companies, it is things you have to think into your business from day one. What are our core values? What do we want our clients, potential clients, to admire? What do we want our employees to admire? And perhaps even more importantly, what do we want our investors to admire? I see a lot of entrepreneurs around the world that spend most of their time chasing money. And I think it's a bad idea. It's bound to fail because, in my view, they have not done the most important thing, namely creating a vision that people admire and want to follow. If you follow your passion and create that vision, so people will follow you, so will the investors. Then the investors will queue up, can I invest in your venture because it sounds so interesting. So focus on the culture, focus on the vision, focus on the values, then the investors will come. When you know your cultural DNA, it can take some time to dig that out of the organization, especially if you don't get help from outside. You can hire people who fit into your culture, and they will share your values. They might not have the right skills right now, but things are changing so rapidly anyway, so they will need new skills in 6 months' time anyway. But if you share the same values, they will strengthen your competitive advantage because they work as ambassadors for you when they're talking to the clients, when they're talking to investors, when they're talking to new employees. You're all pulling in the same direction. And that momentum you have in an organization, when everybody is pulling in the same organization, is very, very phenomenal. I guess all of you have met people like that who have worked with companies where you just felt, wow, this is big. When we listened to Elon Musk before the break, the things that he and his team does, absolutely phenomenal. And make sure that these teams are as diversified as possible, because that makes it even more impressive, because you get into an innovative virtuous circle because of that diversity that you will never get if you have a monocultural team. And people who stay with you because of values, they will stay longer, and they are more willing to learn new skills, meaning that you can change directions more rapidly. And how do you find the right people? Cultural diverse teams perform better and are more innovative. So think global from day one. Don't limit yourselves to your geographical area, in this case, India for most people. Look abroad. Who would I like to have on board my team? Test for cultural fit and then skills. Find out a way to see if there's a cultural fit between you and the new employee. If the cultural fit is there, they can learn anything, and so can you. You can learn new things as well. Look at people's attitudes instead of their CVs and education. I know a lot of well-educated, not so nice people. Education is not a guarantee for anything. Make sure you only hire people who really want to work with you, and not people who just want a job. We never hire people who send applications to us. We only headhunt people in our company. And that's for one single reason, that we are a fairly small company. We are 20 people. We cannot afford to hire people who just want a job. So we want to get people on board who are someone special. And understand what motivates them. We are all different. We are motivated by different things. Understand what motivates them, and you as a leader build the road for them. So creating a winning culture. Create a culture people admire and want to be a part of. Be true to your values. High level of integrity. Never compromise integrity. Have the courage to lead. Numbers don't motivate. Don't show people spreadsheets. Visions, dreams, and aspirations do. People want to be a part of your dream. The more diversity, the better. And now I think it's time for question and comments. Thank you. I can't see anyone here.
We do have a couple of questions, I believe, in the audience. Could we have the mic passed on quickly, please?
Yes.
So if you may please raise your hand one more time.
I'm Sunil, and I'm from Noida. Prudent Devices is my company name. We are into IT solutions designing company. We design solutions for power, and it's a new venture. My problem is that as a new businessman or new venture, we don't get skills. We don't get skilled staff. We have to opt for the freshers. By the time we make them, work-worthy, or by the time they are good for us, they are looking for the next better organization. So this goes on. How do we tackle this?
You draw out a clear vision of what you want to dream, what you want to achieve, and what your dream is. Because if you have a dream and show a path on how can we achieve that, like the Hyperloop in the presentation before lunch, it doesn't have to be that fancy. It could be anything that whatever you want to achieve. If you do that, you can get people on board. There's a lot of people where money is not the most important thing, where the cause is the most important thing. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, to some extent, but when you look at practically, it doesn't happen this way, you see. Defining or telling them about the goals is far off. You don't know what would happen next. For their needs are immediate, you see. So they look for better emoluments, better money, and they move out. And I'm in the same loop again, looking for freshers, training them, and then showing them the exit. It's me only who does it, because I can't afford higher salaries.
Yeah, I understand your question. And the solution to it could be, I don't know your company, but one of the solutions could be that you perhaps could change the way that you communicate, because in all communication, it's always the sender who has the responsibility. So you can say, if you don't have the ability to visualize that dream and passion so that people will follow you, then you have to do it in a different way.
Right.
And perhaps it might might not be your core competence to do that, but then get someone on board who are good at doing these things.
All right.
We are all good at different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. So I have been working in my own automobile component manufacturing unit. So this company was started by my father 30 years back in 1986. So one problem that I'm currently facing is that there is quite a lot of resistance from old employees. So employees who've been with my father for more than 25 years. So if they link everything to the salary that they're getting at the end of the month. So when I tell them to increase the productivity or do things in a way that I want them to do, so they always link everything to the money that they're getting, and I feel that there is some resistance from their end. So what do you feel that I can do to make them believe that the growth of the company will eventually make them grow as well? So any suggestions on that, sir?
It's a very excellent question. I'm very happy it's coming from a fairly small company, because it's actually a challenge a lot of very big companies are facing too. That they have all these employees on board who have been there forever, and they just want to sit there until they retire. They don't want to change. And because they've been there for so many years, they have a lot of power in the organization. And what we usually do in that situation, and that can apply to a small business as well, is to create the image and tell what is happening if we are not changing. Because you cannot just sit there and decide the world is not changing. And the old employees or the older employees in your father's company, they cannot decide that either. So they can either, you can either motivate them to get on board the change train, or eventually, if things go really bad, you will have to close down the business. That's the alternatives, isn't it?
So just to add on one problem, and that is that all these employees are highly technically skilled who've been in the industry for a long time. So you can't get rid of them as well. So when I tell them that we can motivate you, but everything involves a cost, adding to the cost of the company. If you give them a monetary incentive or something. So any other way other than the monetary incentive that you feel that I can bring the best out of them on a day-to-day basis?
It's because they have a cultural perception that change is bad. They see change as bad. It will only get worse for me if we change, but it could also get better. So you as a leader, you have the responsibility. It's always the responsibility of the leader. You have the responsibility to draw a road where you can see if we change, maybe you can make more money by working less, because these people who have been there for many years, they might not be so quick, they might not be so technical savvy, but they have experience. They're probably extremely good at talking with the clients. So maybe they should just have a different role and still stay with the company, because they are a huge asset. But that's your responsibility as a leader of thinking that out.
All right then, well, ladies and gentlemen, with that we have to call it a wrap to this session. Firstly, let's have a round of applause to thank Dr. Flynn.
Thank you.
And I'm going to request Ms. Punita Kapoor, the Assistant Editor for Entrepreneur Media, to please come forward to present a token of gratitude to Dr. Flynn. So if I may request you to please come back on stage.
Uh-oh. I like it very well. Thank you.